Pre-images and images are in any kind of translation because this is going to change. So the pre-image here is the smaller circle, the blue one, and the image is the final one or the last one based on what they're doing. When we use, sometimes, you use for absolute values, you use negative values, but sometimes you don't have to worry about this because if the scale factor is -2, you have to make sure it goes 2, and you have to if you start doing absolute values, you're going to get confused. And standard, they will give you an absolute value, but in reality, all you have to do is just do what you regularly do with a dilation. Now, notice that a dilation means to go either, you don't change the shape or the size. You don't change the shape, but you change like its scale factor. So like one shape is bigger than the other. So technically what happens is when you have -4, 4, if you were to say we're going to use a scale factor of 2, what would happen is that your scale factor of 2 is just going to double everything. -2, it's going to shrink it. So if you say a scale factor of 2, this is going to make this -8 and make this 8. Now this scale factor is what you see, -4, and 4 is up here. So now you're going to go -8 and 8, and you're going to be way up here because I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you're here. So you're just making it larger, but they're still the same. -4 times 2 times your scale factor would make this -8 and 2. And so you just go -8, 1, 2. This would be a scale factor of negative, if you did it by 2, of -2, because the scale factor is 2, so it's negative. And then the other one comes out as 2, so you'd have -2 and 1, 2. So when you got ready to connect all those dots together, you would see that the shape is larger, but its points are all still on a scale. Like they're still a shape of a shape. So let's move on and do one. And when we say prime, the prime x and y is not like the prime numbers, like 1 where the number really goes into itself. I don't mean like that. I mean just a prime, and to let you know, a lot of your professors, a lot of your teachers are going to put this here, like a dot in front, to let you know that this does. So anyway, this decreases. And when you look at it, you're -4 times 50%, because if you had $4 and you gave a friend 50%, you'd have $2 left. So if you want to think about what's going on, you would think about it. 0.50 is half, so you'd have $2 left, and because that was negative, this becomes -2. If it's regular, 50% of 4 is 2. So you see your points are here, and this is called prime here, and then your points just change, -2 and 2, but there's still a scale of this. There's still a half, because they're times a half, 4/2. So it's not really complex. It's just like you have to think about what's going on. So this would be -2, this would be -50, this would be -50, that would be -1. I'm sorry, -50. -50 times 1 is going to give you -50, because 50 plus 50% gives you 1 whole. So if you look at your points here they are. Okay, it's a little bit smaller than what this is, but the scale's the same. It's going down by 2, it's going down by -2 here, going down by half. You see what I mean? Going down by 2 is half, going down by 50, and you keep going. Okay, so now there's your image. Each point decreases by -50. And here's that dash I was telling you about. It's called a prime, so you put the dash here. So your professor might go, what's the new numbers? And he'll have the dash in front of each of them because each number changed in the scale set. Okay, now let's think of one other concept before we move on. Since it's 50% of its original, it's a scale factor and it's negative. If we went back to the beginning, I said they use the absolute value for negative numbers, but guess what? Not in this case. We're just going to scale it. But do keep in mind that it's supposed to, because it is a negative number, that it is supposed to go 180 degrees. And 180 degrees is half of a circle or a straight line. Now here's the problem where students get confused. Where students get confused is that they start thinking that it's got to be 180 straight. And so therefore the image has to be like completely over here. But that's not necessarily true. What has to happen is that each point has to turn 180. Now when you look at this A is over here in A on a turn, this B is over here on a turn, and this C is so close to this, but they turned 180 because they went like this and went around. So that's where you get your 180. And if you look at what I just did, I'm going to do it again. I went like this. That's half a circle. So that's how you're getting your 180 dilutions, and a lot of people are getting those confused. But remember, your pre-image is the original and your image is the second, and that's pretty much how it works. Pretty simple things. If you have any questions, we're at jacobitslearning@gmail.com.